All right, good morning. We're going to wait a couple more minutes to see if we can get a few more attendees to join us. We just opened the webinar, so I anticipate a couple more people rolling in, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening for wherever you are around the world. And we are excited to talk to you today about fall semester. So hang tight for just a little bit and we'll get started in about 2 minutes. All right, it looks like we have more people joining us. We'll get started. We will be recording this presentation so that you can go back and review it and revisit all of the great information that we're going to share with you. Can you see if we're recording this? To my other panelists, can you see the record button? Awesome, cool. Very good. Well, again, welcome everyone. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are so excited that you're joining us today. My name is JC Fry, and I'm the director of the Kearney International Center. And I have along with me 4 amazing colleagues who are here to talk to you a little bit about how you can make your decision for fall. I will let them introduce themselves and then we'll get started.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I have to get used to that. My name is Sarah Granberg-Rademacher. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am the director of the University Advising, and I'm really just excited to be here with all of you today.
Well, I am Riley Davenport. I work in the University Testing Center, and thank you all for being here today.
My name is Hamdi, and I'm one of the assistant director. I'm here to help you guys to answer some of your questions. Very excited to be with my colleagues.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Mustafa. I'm the programming and retention advisor, and I'm one also of the immigration advisors. Probably I might send an email to some of you, so I'm glad to be here, and I'll be here to answer your questions.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. All right. So we're just going to jump right in, and we're going to give you a lot of information, and we're going to save some time at the end to field any questions that you have. We're also going to have some action items for you once this presentation is over. You'll get an email with some additional information. So don't panic if you feel like you're not retaining everything. You'll also get a copy of this webinar so that you can review it later. But what we're here today is to talk to you about fall semester. Our fall semester will begin August 23rd, but we'll have orientation the week prior to that. And that is a required international student orientation. And we cover a lot of really helpful information that will make you get acclimated to Mankato and just have a successful start to your academic program. So notice these dates. August 16th through the 20th is when we'll have orientation and check-in and getting you ready for your semester. And then classes will start August 23rd. So here are your options. You can study on campus, get your visa, and get here before August 16th. So you need to secure that visa. You need to have your travel plans all identified, and make sure that you're following all the COVID procedures and precautions that are put into place before you travel to the U.S. If getting to campus is not an option for you, you can definitely start your program online, part-time from your home. So you would defer your I-20 and to spring, so to January of 2022, but you wouldn't defer your admission because you could start part-time online from home. And if studying online for you isn't going to be an option, maybe the internet connection is just not reliable, or that's just not the way you feel like starting your program, you can defer both your admission and your I-20 to spring 2022. So here's what we know about fall semester. We know that Minnesota State Mankato will be offering a combination of many types of classes. So we'll have the normal in the classroom face-to-face course experience. We'll also have something called hybrid or HiFlex, which is you can choose to attend the class in person, or you can choose to attend it online. And that's an arrangement you would make with your professor at the beginning of the semester if you're on campus. We'll also have hybrid, which is a little similar. Some classes might be online, some might be in person. We'll have asynchronous online classes, and that means you can take the class online at any time. There's not a required meeting time, so it would work well for someone who's maybe in Korea or on the other side of the world, and the time zone is too different. And there's also synchronous online courses where you have a meeting time, you are engaging with your classmates at a specific time and your professor. We do know that you have to have a physical presence on our campus this fall and take at least one face-to-face course. In non-COVID times, you would be required to take a minimum of 9 credits face-to-face for undergrad and 3 for graduate students. So there's still some leeway out there for COVID, but you still have to have at least one face-to-face course. Fall 2021 orientation will cover so many basics and so much information that you need to know as an international student. And we're still putting all of that together, and you will receive information in your email by July 1st about more details and what to expect. And now I'll hand it over to Sarah to talk to you a little bit about academic advising.
Yes, it's my great privilege to talk to you about the advising piece. Academic advisors are the folks who are here to support you along the way, students. These are folks who are experts in their field of study. They're experts when it comes to our curriculum and the university requirements for graduation. And they're folks who will be here to support you along the way. For those of you who are brand new to a university setting, what we will do is assign you to an advising team. And that advising team of folks are going to be the people you meet with originally and usually stick with for your first year or two in a program. They're sort of generalists, but they still have that in-depth knowledge about graduation requirements and the particulars there. Eventually, if you are either a transfer student or if you are if you start here as a new student and then eventually keep moving forward, as we know you will be assigned an academic advisor who is a faculty member in the department that you're majoring in. And again, that person has so much expertise to offer in terms of the curriculum, in terms of opportunities, and can really be a good mentor and guidance along the way. What I just want to remind you of is these folks are the ones who know students, they know curriculum. And so as tempting as it may be when you have friends or you have well-intentioned family members or others who say, hey, here are the classes we know you should take, you need to take that with a grain of salt. Again, they mean well, but sometimes they can inadvertently give you bad advice. They're not trying to, but they don't know the particulars of your program and your situation. And so we try to connect you with these experts early on to ensure that you're taking classes and credits that will serve you well moving forward. And briefly on that note, those of you who are taking classes and will be staying in your home countries, we are going to strongly encourage you to keep the number of credits you take at a minimum. Advisors want to see you be successful, and jumping into a full battery of all online classes when you're taking them from your home country could be incredibly tough. And so we say, hey, we want you to start slow so that you're building yourself a strong foundation here at Minnesota State Mankato. And so that as you move forward, you're taking strong steps forward versus having to make up for what could have been a rough semester. And so please, we just can't recommend enough. Advisors are the experts who are here to help you and who want to see you be successful students. And so listen to them when you have your opportunities to connect with them, which will happen generally during the orientation process. JC, would you mind switching this slide? So how this is going to happen is we're going to have a kickoff session in August for those of you who are coming to us physically in Mankato. We'll have a kickoff session that will give you some background information. We're working through the details of what will happen for those of you who are going to be studying from your home country still. So stay tuned. As JC mentioned, we'll communicate with you about that. But generally, if you're coming to campus, we'll have a kickoff session where we outline some kind of big picture information and then have you work either individually or in small groups with faculty to get the courses that you need. One other key piece of information, if you are transferring in college or university credits, we desperately want you to take advantage of getting your transcripts sent to us. So if you're taking credits from another US institution, you would have those domestic transcripts sent to the university, and we will take a look at those to kind of see where you fall and what classes, how they count, and so forth. If you have taken classes from an institution abroad, we need you to go through a credentialing service, such as the Educational Credential Evaluation process. There is a fee associated with an ECE or a WES, but the fee that you're paying for those is going to come back to you in that you're not going to end up taking classes you didn't need, because we're going to have an accurate idea of what classes you took elsewhere and how they count here. So the idea of investing in that ECE is not a bad idea at all. It's going to help set the stage so that advisors can give you right information and can make sure that you're moving forward and meeting your graduation requirements. And with that, I am going to turn, there's a note here about placement test. And because we need to get you into some math and English, Riley's going to talk to you a little bit about the placement test.
I think I might have okay, yeah, I do have a slide. All right, so the first thing I want to mention about placement testing is that it is not associated with your admission to the university. That is a very common question that I get. So course placement testing is strictly to let us know and let you know what your math level is when you're registering for classes. So we have varying levels of math classes, and some you may be ready for, some you might need to do a little bit more practice for. So what's nice about course placement testing this year is that we're able to issue you a course placement or an AccuPlacer test virtual voucher so that you may take the test on your own time whenever you are able to, which means 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on your own computer in your own country in your own time zone. So the deadline to request or receive a testing voucher is August 9th. So it's important to remember that you do have to receive a testing voucher by then, and you must complete the test by August 13th. For most of you, I will receive a list of your names and your email addresses, and I will be sending it to you. You do not have to request a voucher, but if you do notice in the next couple months that you haven't received one, you can email testingcenter@mnscu.edu. We're still able to issue it on an individual basis as well. We will be sending, for most of you, the testing voucher to your university email address. However, if you do not have access to your university email address yet, we can use your personal email address that you used when you applied to the university. So it is possible you will see it in a personal email as well. I think that is all I have so far. I'm sure we'll have questions.
Excellent. Thank you both. All right. So quite frankly, the next steps are up to you as you make your plans for fall semester. Either later today or on Monday, you're going to receive a survey where we're going to ask you a series of questions so you can help us better understand what your intentions are for fall. If you want to study online from home, we want to know that as soon as possible so we can make sure you're getting your placement test taken care of, and we can add you to our list of students that we need to advise differently because you're going to be online from home. If you're coming to campus, we want to know that because we want to prepare for your in-person orientation and get ready to welcome you to campus. And if you're going to defer both admission and your I-20 to spring semester, we need to know that too so that we can update our communications and make sure that we are helping you as you make those plans for next term. So if you ever have any questions and are unsure or maybe want to talk this through with someone, you can always send us an email at international@mnsu.edu. And we have a lot of student employees who are able to talk you through this decision, or if you're preparing for a visa appointment, they can help you practice. We have a lot of staff that are ready to work with you and help make this decision as easy as possible. So with that, we have the opportunity to field any questions that you might have. You can put them in the Q&A box, and we as a team can help you by answering those questions. So if you want to put something in the chat or in the Q&A box, that would be great. And to my colleagues, if we maybe missed something or you want to maybe go a little deeper into an area or two, feel free.
JC, I do want to note with the placement testing, some of you, especially if you're a transfer student, might already have credits that will place you into math courses, or you might have taken something called the SAT, which also could place you into college level math. Although most students will need a placement test, some of you may not. So if you are confused or you have questions about that, you can always email us. And I see we already have a question here in the chat. The placement test only includes a math test. And yes, that is correct. We do not do English placement right now through testing. And I'm not sure if JC can touch on that a little bit more. I seem to have a cat that's very vocal right now, but we will use other factors to determine course placement for English.
Excellent, thanks. So Sahina has a question here about an emergency visa. What should I have to choose because I have been appealing for an emergency visa? Do I have to choose online class or campus class? So that's a good question. So if you physically cannot get here by the start of semester, so by August 23rd, if you're not in country, you should be registering for asynchronous online classes, and an advisor will definitely help you with that. We don't want you to register for classes that have a classroom requirement if you're not going to be here. So it kind of depends on what you mean about appealing your emergency visa. Like, have you requested that emergency visa appointment 60 days before the program starts? Maybe a little more information might be helpful.
I see Eva's question in the chat about being a transfer student and do you need to do the transcript evaluation? If you're transferring from a US institution, we just need to get a copy of your finished transcript and then we will do the evaluation here locally. Unfortunately, we don't have local experts in all the international institutions. So if you're transferring credits from an international institution, yes, please do a transcript evaluation. And those do take some time. So starting that process sooner than later, and yes, investing that money now up front, but hopefully then saving that money down the road when you're taking the classes elsewhere. So yes, if you took credits from that international institution in Uganda, we definitely want you to get a transcript evaluation done, please.
An anonymous attendee has a question about a visa prep session. So yes, we have a website on a page on our website where you can go in and request a visa prep session. We do have some students who can potentially speak your native language if that's an issue, if you need just better clarification. But after someone else starts answering a question, I'll go and find that link and I can put it in the chat box. But yes, you just go in and you book your own visa prep session for 30 minutes and a student will walk you through and give you some practice questions. If I take classes on campus, can I take a vaccine for free? Yes, so so as an international student, you're required to have health insurance. And with your health insurance card, you can definitely get a vaccine. And we're actually just starting to put together the plans for offering new students the COVID vaccine upon arrival. So as those details come out, we'll definitely be sending communications to you so you can plan. Bubakar says visa appointment is August 2nd. Is that okay? Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be okay. It just depends on what the turnaround time is for you to get your passport back with your visa in it. Could you please tell us about COVID-19 vaccines? I mean, when we arrive on campus, should we arrive 14 days before the quarantine? That's an ever-changing policy and guidance by the CDC and also the Minnesota Department of Health. We will continue to encourage you to check those two websites to make sure you're following the latest guidance that's put out there. What you want to make sure is that you do follow the requirements of showing a negative COVID test 72 hours before you depart your home country for travel to the US. So keeping track of all those different policies and guidelines is important so that you don't run into any issues while you're traveling. The quarantine piece might also depend on where you're living. If you're going to live on campus, they may have updated policy about that too. And as we are getting closer, we will begin to send out this information so that it is as current as possible so that you can make the best plans. Mustafa, would you like to answer any of the questions about the I-20? Putting you on the spot.
Okay, so there's one question here. When will the I-20 be sent to us who already requested? So actually, we are quite busy, but we're gonna get it to you as soon as possible. As long as you submit all the documents and we have all what we need, please make sure to check your email. If we have questions, we're gonna email you in your private or like Hotmail or Gmail or Yahoo or whatever you use. Okay, you haven't received your I-20 right now. Should I be worried? Nope, you shouldn't be worried. It's just gonna take some time. We are working hard on it right now. If you have any question, please send an email to International and we will answer your question. So again, let me see what other questions we have. So there's a question yes here about can we apply GA from our home country? I'm not really sure what is meant by GA, as we haven't completed any credits. What should be filled in that blank, and where should we submit the application?
Yeah, that's a good question. Graduate assistantships are awesome opportunities. In order to be eligible for a grad assistantship, you have to be admitted to the university. So that's the first requirement. And you don't have to have completed any graduate credits to be eligible. A lot of students will come in and that they have a GA their first term. So on the job announcement that you've seen, it'll say where to send your application materials, and it's typically to the department that you want to work. So if you have questions about the position or the requirements, reach out to that department, and they should be able to field those questions for you.
Okay, there's another question. I'm unable to digitally sign the document. Can you explain about that too? So I'm not really sure about the specifics, but if you can just respond to the person who sent you the I-20, they will be able to help you. Sometimes we might have to send you another copy that you will be able to sign, or otherwise, sometimes using mobile devices is probably you won't be able to sign it. So please email us back and we will help you with that. So what else we have here? I want to know if it's okay to go to another state first before actually arriving in Mankato. So yes, your port of entry can be anywhere in the US, but you have to report to the school once you arrive here. So technically, you can enter the US 30 days before the program started. And just correct me if I'm wrong, so 30 days from August 16th. So at any time during the 30 days period, you can enter the US, but you have to report to the school by August 16th.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to mention something about the question of the digital signature. You can just print out that I-20 and you can sign it with a blue pen and take that with you to your visa appointment or to when you travel to the US. It's okay if you don't digitally sign it. That's just the way that we're able to sign it and get it to you quickly.
I want to add something also here that you will need the paper copy. You cannot have your I-20 on your mobile device. You have to print it out on site. So the signature can be digital signature or can be using a pen, but you must have the I-20 with you when you arrive. There's a question here about the housing that they did a prepayment of $250. Will I be able to transfer that amount to spring 2022? Yes, of course. If you, for any reason, if you cannot be here this fall, this amount can be transferred or it can be refunded to you.
Correct. Next question is about orientation. So it'll start the week of the 17th. Is it okay if I come there by August 11th? Absolutely. If you're going to live on campus, though, there's some steps that you'll need to take to inform university housing that you would be there sooner. But all of those details can be worked out for sure. And that's great that you're coming a little early so that you get ready for the time change and just get plugged in and started in your new home.
I want to add something to this too, that it's really important for you to be here ahead of time so that you can prepare for everything. So if you can be here like a week or 2 weeks before the orientation, this is like the best. Regarding the visa appointments, please make sure that I know like a lot of embassies, yes, embassies are only offering like emergency appointments, but you have to email the embassies. Sometimes some of the US embassies do offer the emergency appointments for F1 students, and some of them don't do not do that. So please make sure to email the embassy and you will get more information about it. There's a question here about how much is on campus monthly fee. I'm not really sure if I understand the question. Is it probably about campus?
So campus monthly fees, so if you're room and board, if that's what you're asking, is actually paid by semester. And you can set up a payment plan. And it also depends on which type of room you choose to live in and what sort of meal plan you choose. So it's not an exact cost. It just depends on what you select. And there's more information on the university housing website that can give you those estimates. So question about health insurance, I would say no, do not pay your health insurance before your visa appointment. Wait to make sure you get a visa. And then once you get your visa, you'd let us know and we could put that health insurance charge on your account. It would be great if you paid it before you traveled, so it's all set when you get to the US.
And I see the question about the automotive engineering technology program. And while none of us are here are experts in the AET program in particular, what I can tell you is our AET program is very well known. And actually, because I was digging around, I have a 17-year-old who will be looking at college soon. And we were looking at this program and I've seen some of their statistics and they show that they have a pretty solid job placement rate. But I can't tell you a whole lot other than that it is a really excellent program. And so what you'd want to do with any program you're studying is connect with your faculty and take advantage of opportunities to make yourselves as marketable as possible post-graduation.
So there is a question here. I'm not really sure if you answered the question. Do I need to email back my signed I-20? No. You don't send us back your I-20. You keep your I-20 with you. You take your I-20 with you to the embassy for the visa interview. And then once you granted the visa, you bring it to you when you are entering the US. There's a question about the meal plan. Yes, you can get or you can purchase a meal plan even if you live off campus. You don't have to be on campus to be part of the meal plan. So there's a question, is it now that we will pay for the place we want to stay on campus or until I arrive there? So probably Jesse can answer this one because I guess she knows probably. Oh,
I think maybe they're asking, do they have to make the payment now or can they wait till they get to campus?
yes, probably, let me put it this way. We will be able to answer questions if you email us, but I know for sure it's not about the payment, it's about signing a contract. So if you are planning to live on campus for fall, you have to make sure that you sign a contract and you know your obligation. And then the payment comes next. So basically you might be able to do like a prepayment, but basically you're not charged until you check in. So we still didn't get the visa interview dates. So if we are studying online, do we get to attend an online orientation? If so, is it okay to come to the college after that and continue the course after getting visa letter? That's 16 August. So let me say this. This is not our first semester. This is probably going to be the third semester. We already had a few students last August, and we have a few students also in January for the spring. So yes, it's totally fine for you. There will be special orientation for online students, and it's okay for you to come, but there is only one issue here. So let's assume that you already started your online classes. So it's really hard for us. Like we will have to defer your I-20 to the next semester. This is only for current students. So we do have the regulations that does not allow us to let you in after the program started. So basically you can take the classes and you can come to the US anytime before the start of the spring semester. I hope that I answered this question.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, if you're not here, if you're not able to start the semester on time in person, you need to be okay with coming in January. You can't come in the middle of the semester because we have to adjust your I-20 start date. And so if we don't see you at August 17th, we'll be deferring your I-20 to January, and then you could come in 30 days before that semester start date. So you could come here in December. Is our school fee supposed to be paid in full before attending the fall semester? No. There's a couple different ways you can pay your fees. You can set up a payment plan, and you can make 3 or 4 payments throughout the semester. You can pay all your fees by that first Friday of the semester and just take care of it. Some students, their parents will just wire the entire semester payment over and take care of it in one chunk. It really depends on what works for you and your family. And Michael, yes, it is compulsory to attend orientation, and you'll love it. You'll get to meet new friends and get your questions answered about your new school.
One more thing about the orientation, you will get to know the laws, you will get to know the regulations. There are a few steps that you have to do to maintain your status, so it's really good for you to be in the orientation. Do you have any way of?
Can I answer this one?
Oh, yep.
If you're going to plan on living on campus, I really encourage you to sign up to be in the Global Mavericks learning community. This is a great way for you to meet people who are either international or US who are interested in international things. This will be our third year of the Global Mavericks learning community, and they make a really cool community. They do a lot of neat things together. They'll be in the FY 100, like a freshman symposium course together, and that's a great way for you to meet people. I think when you fill out your housing form, you can put things on there about who you are and what your likes and dislikes are, so they try their best to match you. But if you get into a learning community, I think you'll find people that are even closer matched to you.
And as a side note, the learning community doesn't cost you anything extra.
Thank you. Yeah. Deadline for fall fees, including books, insurance, stuff. So insurance has to be paid before you can register for class. So that will happen. If you haven't done it before you get to campus, it will happen that week of orientation. And then once you pay it, then you can register. You'll buy your books as you need them. And then there's a outline of the tuition payment deadlines on our university website. And it just depends on what works for you and your family.
So I guess there's a follow-up question from Michael. I'm not really sure. I think I missed the first part of the question.
Oh, Michael asked a question about, does he have to go to orientation? And I think it's because he hasn't received his I-20 yet. Michael, it's looking to be about 10 to 15 business days, so about 2 to 3 weeks before I-20s are getting into your inbox. So if you submitted your I-20 request and we have everything we need to produce that document, it should be coming soon. That's neat. A good question. If we cannot come within August because of Corona, can we come there in the spring with the same application? Yeah. In this survey you're going to get, you could tell us that I'm not coming till spring, and then we'll give you instructions on how to request a deferment to your application and also your I-20.
Just one more thing here I'm trying to clarify. Please check your email. Make sure that probably the I-20 is not in the junk mail. I'm just checking like randomly here, and I see that a few of you who asked questions about the I-20s were issued. So please make sure that you check your email regularly.
And Brian, we see your question about the length of a semester. A semester is generally 16 weeks. We have a fall semester at 16 weeks, a spring semester that's 16 weeks, and then summer terms are different. Generally speaking, we have 2 summer terms that are 5 weeks each. And so those are much more concentrated timelines. And so you have a few different options for times there. But our fall and spring semesters, the biggest ones, are 16 weeks each.
What if we defer after getting our visa? That's okay. You have to do what works for you. So if you get your visa and you're still not feeling comfortable about coming here for August, you definitely can defer your admission and your I-20, or you could just defer your I-20 and start online. It's totally up to you.
There's a question here about the face mask. Yes, if you are unvaccinated, you will need a face mask. But again, you will be provided vaccination because you're gonna have also like a health insurance provided from our school. So you will be eligible for vaccination after you follow the CDC guidelines for after international travel. Okay, so if I arrive maybe 2 weeks before the classes start, am I going to stay at the campus dorms that I have already booked, or will I have to stay at a hotel? So I know that the earliest day that you can be on campus is August 9th, and someone just correct me if I'm wrong. So you cannot be on dorms before August 9th, and you have to check in between 10 a.m. and 12 a.m. So basically, if you arrive after midnight, you cannot check in. So between midnight and 10 in the morning, you cannot check into the dorms. So please make sure that you prepare ahead of time. The earliest that you can be on campus is like to live in the dorms is going to be August 9th. But also, I think there's also one thing that you need to know. This is not going to be your permanent. This is going to be only temporary until probably August 16th. That's when you will be moved to your assigned room.
Someone had a question about arriving for orientation, but their off-campus housing contract didn't start until August 20th. You're going to either have to like couch surf or get a hotel to make sure that you have somewhere to stay that week before your housing contract starts.
So there's something I want to add. If you are planning an early arrival, you have to let the residential life know. So please let us know that you will be arriving ahead of time so that we can prepare for your stay. So we have a question here about a student has been admitted for spring. They had their I-20, it's just they couldn't apply for a visa, so they applied for fall and got admitted again. Since they haven't received an I-20 for the fall, can I continue paying for my CVS fee using the CVS ID number on my spring I-20? So actually, no, we're gonna issue a new I-20 for you. If you haven't paid the CVS fee, you will get a new CVS number. So please make sure that you request the new I-20 as soon as possible.
I had mentioned sending out a survey to get more information from you. I just need to keep reviewing it, make sure I'm asking every question I need to get from you. So if it doesn't come out today, expect it after the weekend.
So the first day of classes will be August 23rd. So the orientation will start on August 16th, which is Monday, and the very next Monday, that's the first day of classes, August 23rd.
The COVID vaccine is not compulsory. We encourage every student, if you can get it for your safety and ours, we encourage you to get it. If you are not fully vaccinated, you do have to wear a mask on our campus. And also I had mentioned earlier that we are putting together the plans to have a vaccine clinic for new students when they get to campus. So we're trying our best to accommodate you and get you vaccinated if you're not. But if you are not vaccinated, you will have to wear a mask.
Jesse, I would like to add something about the vaccination.
Sure.
So according to the CDC right now, you must get tested like within 3 to 5 days after arrival. And if it's negative, then you have to like stay home, like just to stay home and self-quarantine for 7 days. If it's positive, also you have to isolate. The vaccination is not mandatory at the point. No one will force you to get the vaccine. But for your safety and the safety of the others, please get the vaccine. It's available to all international students, probably even with no cost. So it's not required, but it's highly recommended. There's a question about, yeah,
Hamdi's
Oh,
gonna
it's fine. But I think there's some questions on the chat box regarding the vaccine. Some of them are asking if the vaccine they took back home is acceptable when they come here. Yes, it is acceptable. Other asking about, do we have to get COVID vaccine before we coming here? No, but you have to follow the regulation or any other request from the airlines before you travel to the United States. I think there is one question in the chat box regarding the placement test. I will read it. Somebody can answer. Placement test only includes math. They're asking if it is only for math.
Yes, so the placement test as far as virtual testing vouchers go is only for math. We will use other measures to place for English.
Okay. So other question regarding I-20, do I need to email my signed copy back to you or keep and present it at the embassy during the interview? Just sign it. You don't have to send us a copy of that. You have to take the physical copy of your I-20 when you present during your interview.
One thing about the vaccinations, so far the approved vaccinations by the CDC are Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer. It doesn't mean that if you had any vaccination like AstraZeneca, that it's not like you're still vaccinated, but those vaccinations are not approved by CDC. So like American people or people who live in the US, they don't get these vaccinations. But you should be fine until you come here, and then you have to ask probably like health service provider, okay, like a clinic. So I don't think that we can answer this question, but you should be good because it's approved in your country. You don't have to retake the vaccine. I think some of these vaccinations are still getting approved right now in the US. There's another question here about scholarship. Are there any scholarships I could apply for? So actually, you get a scholarship right now, which we call it, and remind me of the name, Jason? I just keep forgetting.
International Maverick Scholarship for undergraduate students only.
International Maverick, yeah, a scholarship. You are eligible to apply for a lot of scholarships, but usually that's going to be during the spring semester. Most of the scholarships are during the spring semester, and that's why we have this orientation to show you all the resources where you can find scholarships, where you can find jobs, how to find jobs, and things like that.
I would like to say one thing about scholarships really quick. For students who want to come here in the fall and they just can't get here because they can't get a visa or it's just not safe for them to come, and you start your program part-time online from home this fall, you will get a loyalty scholarship from the Kearney International Center in November that will be applied directly to your account for $500. So we want you to know that we want you to come to campus when it's safe for you, but we also are excited that you want to enroll at Minnesota State Mankato in fall semester. Question about finding other international students as roommates. You know, I don't know if there's a link actually where you can connect with others. I think, yeah, that's a really good question, Nazanin. I'll be very honest. I'm not sure. I can do some checking with University Housing to see if they have anything like that. Otherwise, if you don't belong to the WhatsApp group, there's a WhatsApp group right now that all students who've been admitted for fall semester belong to. There's like 260 students, I think, in there. It's an interesting conversation that's happening. That'd be a great place to mention that you're looking for a roommate. You might find someone there that is interested in rooming with you.
I can add something here regarding this. Based on my experience with other students, sometimes they send their email to the student association, like the clubs that or organization, student organization, that from there's based on the nationality. If, for example, if we have Saudi, we refer them back to the Saudi club, student club, so they help a lot. So I don't know if the student asking about this want to connect them with the student association here. from their country, we can do that.
So there's a question about the GA. I think a student applied for a GA position, did not hear back from them. Please email the department. I think when you apply to the email, or you can just contact the department directly that you applied, and they just gonna let you know. One more question here. Can you tell us about honors program and orientation for this program? So, anyone can chip in here about the honors program? We do have a part of the orientation about the honors program, but seriously, like, I have no information about the honors program.
We'll have some more information in our online orientation, like the D2L site, that gives you more details, because there is a specific timeline that you have to apply to be in it. And if you pass that deadline, then you can't get into the honors program. So if it's something you're interested in, you want to definitely look into that as soon as possible.
There's a question, can we apply for both GA and scholarships? Yes. Actually, this is kind of funny that I had a conversation with these students for 2 or 3 days. Some of them did not know that. Well, you can apply for more than a scholarship, but you can have only one full GA. So you can have as many scholarships as you can, but for the GA, you can only have one GA, and you can have combination of them. There's another question about getting information about the assigned roommate for campus living. I think you answered this, or answer something similar.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure, but I'm curious. So I'm going to definitely look into this, and I will send a message to all the people who've registered for this webinar so that you have that information when I find it.
While taking appointments, there is emergency visa appealing. Should we do that? So actually, as I said before, when it comes to the emergency visa appointment, some of the US embassies, not all of them, will allow like F1 students to go for these kind of visa appointments. So please email the embassy. Yes, you should do that. I mean, it's not gonna hurt you to send an email. It's either they're gonna say yes or no. So please email the embassy. Don't just assume that if it's an emergency visa appointment that you will not be granted that opportunity. So please email the US embassy and they will let you know. If I ask how can I join the WhatsApp group, so I'm not really sure if we can share the link here, JC.
I'm trying to figure out how to do that. You know,
I will share it.
Thank you. I'm in it. I just don't know how to share or invite someone.
Boom, it's here. So all the panelists and all the attendees can see the WhatsApp group so that you can join. Done. Well, this is done. What about the facilities for disabled students? We do have the accessibility center here. So there is an accommodation for students with disabilities. And actually, let me talk about this because probably Hamdi knows there is accommodation in all the classes. It's not only the school. So the first day of the classes, there will be a syllabus where there's a part about students with any disabilities. You have to communicate with the professor and they will provide you all the assistance. So we have all the resources to help the students with disabilities. Can I get GA for both years? Yes, actually, typically well, when we say GA, it's graduate assistantship, research assistantship, or TA, teaching assistant. So teaching assistant, graduate assistant, and research assistant. So yes, you can get them for both 2 years if you're doing your master's, or for the PhD, you can get through the doctorate actually for the whole program. So it can be 2 years and it can be more than 2 years. It depends on the department and the funding.
I think it could be less than 1 year or 1 year only. It depends on the fund that the department they have. So I think the student has to connect with the department to make sure most of the department issues or award the GAs separately each semester for each semester. So please just connect with the department, see what they will tell you about this.
And for the I-20s, they will just be emailed this fall. Until they change their policies, we're going to take advantage of the emailed I-20s. Awesome. Okay, we have 5 minutes left. We want to be cognizant of the commitment you made to us. You gave us 1 hour and we were able to give you a bunch of information and answer your questions. If there are any last minute questions, feel free to put them in the chat. As a Fulbrighter, I believe the Department of State will be issuing your I-20. And so you work with that funding agency who's covering your Fulbright, and you want to check with them. And if you haven't already connected with Dan Schwartz in our office, you want to make sure that you do that as well. I'll put his email address in here. Excellent. Okay. Well, again, look for, I'm guessing it will be Monday, look for an email from us on Monday with a survey so you can fill it out and tell us as much as you can about your fall semester. The sooner we know what your plans are, the sooner we can connect with you and get you registered for the right classes or help you defer your admission or your I-20 or get ready for you to join us on campus. So it's really important that you let us know as soon as possible. Will fall I-20s be sent through email or Claudine? All I-20s will be sent via email, and it's a lot quicker and cheaper for everyone. So definitely check your email address that you used on your university application. That's where it will be sent. Okay, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. I wish you a happy Friday, and we will send out a copy of this webinar as well as that survey, and keep checking your email because we'll have a couple more of these opportunities for you to connect with us and ask us questions so we can help you get ready to join us.
Yeah, I guess there's one last question here. Student that did not get their I-20 yet, but is it possible to put in an emergency interview? Yes, you can email them for an emergency interview. It depends on the country that you live in right now. So it will never hurt you to ask for an emergency interview. Please email us and we will look into your I-20. Typically, like the processing time, like it's out of our hands. It takes like at least 3 to 5 days. This is without any human interaction to get your I-20 processed. So it will take longer with human processing. So please be patient. The email of the person that can help us with our off-campus housing. So there is no, like, this is your responsibility to take care of the off-campus housing, but we will send you information about how to get in touch with the off-campus complexes, like apartment building and stuff like that.
I just put a link to the university housing website, and within that, they do have off-campus housing listings and off-campus housing resources. So take a look at that website. All right, it is 8:59 and we have 9 o'clock meetings. I wish you a happy Friday and a fantastic weekend. Check your email on Monday for an update and a survey from the Kearney International Center. All right, take care.